Alright, so I'm at work. I have a game I want to show you. I might get interrupted. Let's see, it's about 20 till 5 in the morning. I work third shifts. So if I get interrupted, then I'll just edit, I guess. I had a really strange Blitz game before I came into work. I wanted to throw some commentary on. I'm playing black here. So let's go ahead and flip the board. My opponent led with some really odd opening ideas. Now his Blitz rating was 1260. So I couldn't tell you how he got his rating to be that high with the way he played this opening. As you can see, F3, I played E5, Knight H3. He likes to plant his knights in on the F2, and he'll do the same thing over here and put his knight here on the C2 square. He just gives me a ton of space out here in the middle. As you can see, I've claimed a lot more space than he has already. I've got room for my pieces to develop back here, and he just doesn't. His knights are poorly placed. He's not doing anything aggressive at all, and he's giving the advantage to black right away. So I develop normally here, just getting my pieces out and getting them going. My plan soon is to connect these pawns out here and start trading and taking advantage of the space that I have to push forward. I figure if nothing else, I can trade down and win an easy pawn race. So here I go. I push it over here on the C file, and he chooses not to trade. So I take here, he takes here, and then I played B5 or A5. Takes, 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 takes. Here I'm preparing a rook trade. I went ahead over here. I'm rushing fast, I guess, but that's okay. He wanted to trade bishops here, and I'm still happy to trade. Puts his knight in another bad square. It just slows his development down even more. I feel pretty good with my position here. At this point, I thought maybe he'd end up taking a draw if he kept bouncing like that, but he didn't. So I initiate a rook trade here. Now, first, it's telling me right now that the position's basically even. I wasn't aggressive enough in my development, and so I didn't claim enough of an initiative here. He moves his king forward, and again, I'm looking to trade, and he kind of tends to avoid trading here. So I tighten up my pawns. And here I actually gave up a pawn just to pick up an initiative. I have ideas about attacking this pawn that, as you'll see, work out just fine. I've got an attack out on it now. He's got to move that knight back. But you can see I've got two attacks on it. So we take, 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 and now I've got a pass pawn here. He's got a pass pawn that'll be a little bit easier for me to run down. My king is a little bit closer to his than his king is to mine, and that's what makes black better in this situation. So I push the pawn, move out of the way, and get it to a square where my bishop can defend it. Now, what I end up doing there, though, is letting his king into the game. So you'll see we do this little knight shuffle. He keeps trying to check me. I chase his knight around. And then I start pushing on the king side again. And this game's probably drawn. I didn't play it right there in the middle. He just gave me some space there. It didn't make sense to make that move. He probably should have played H3 or something in that situation. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. This is what loses the game for him. Now, this is a 3-minute Blitz game, so we're both just making quick moves here, trying to get through. You can see we're 51 moves in already, and there's no time added per move or anything, so we're both on to within 20 or 30 seconds at this point, moving really fast. But what he does here is he ends up just hanging a pawn, and now when I run my king to the king side to take these pawns, he has to take the time to capture this one, or else I'll just run it up and queen it. I put him to the move here. And so he has to initiate a pawn trade. and then I abandon my b pawn, and he has to take, or else I'll end up queening it, and I just run over here and gobble these pawns. Now, at this point, I had about 8 seconds left, and I know what the right move is in this situation. All I have to do is bring my king to g4. Even g5 would work, but g4 is just faster. Or even king to g3 and just run the h-pawn up. And I've got a 1 game. But again, with 8 seconds on my clock, I panicked, and I was just grabbing pieces and getting ready to move him before he had moved, and I did something stupid here and gave up the win. He takes the pawn here, and now all he has to do is wherever I move my king, he just traps my king along this side of the board, and he eventually can stalemate me over here. But he makes a mistake and lets my king out. At this point, all he had to do was when he's right here, if he had just played king to f2, that'd be our variation. g4, and now since this is an h-pawn, as long as he can get his king into one of these 2 squares, he's golden. So he just plays this way. I cut him off, and there's almost no bad moves at this point. All he has to do is just bounce, and I can't get him out of these 2 squares. That's the problem with leaving yourself with just an h or an a pawn, is there's stalemate options, and most any other pawn on the board, as long as you can figure out the opposition situation, you can win. These h and a pawns, as long as he can get back here, you can't force him out. Opposition doesn't matter at that point. He can just play between these 2 squares. But anyways, my opponent makes where we at? Makes a mistake here, and lets my king off of that square. Now, when he comes in to attack my pawn, I can just move it, and I'm going to queen. Now at this point, I literally have 3 seconds on my clock, and I have to mate him. And it's a 7-move mate from here, but I don't have time to see the 7-move mate. So what should be a 7-move mate for me is a 12-move mate or a 14-move mate or something. And I'm just moving as fast as I can, just moving my king with him, trying to corral him to the side of a board someplace. And all of these moves are within 0.2 of a second. So they're not completely accurate, but they're not terrible. And here we go. I got this now. I had 0.9 seconds left on my clock when I stalemated him here, or when I checkmated him. He was down to about 8 seconds at this point. And yeah, I had 0.9 seconds, so less than 1 second left. So anyways, I just wanted to illustrate a couple of key ideas. One is the mistake I made right here. To push that pawn. Again, in Blitz, you're going to make bad pawn moves. Even with 2 pawns up like this, it's not. You can't just win by default. You have to make sure you play it safe. Or there's always chances for the losing side in these king and pawn games to sneak back into a draw. Which is why even at grandmaster level, the top guys in king and pawn games are king and rook and pawn end games. Even being a pawn down can muster a draw. That was a key tactic that helped Vichy win the world championship in Mexico City just last month. He had two games that by all rights he could have lost, and he was able to find draws when he was a pawn down with rook still on the board. So always be aware and look for those situations to trap kings along the side here and things like that. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll put much better videos up soon. I'm sorry for my lack of posting recently. I've been working a lot of overtime, and I have been sick still. So I'll get some videos up again soon. So thanks for watching.